starting the recording. I mean, I want to start like right away because I know this is going to be a longer conversation, and I feel like I need to,
Okay. All right. Yeah, here we go.
Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Expansion Pass here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host, the United Excited Eddie. Joining me is the one, the only Mr. Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Derry.
Hello. It is time to talk Zelda. Am I right?
Yes, but before we talk about Zelda, we got Patreon producers to shout out.
Wow, you are just getting right into it, aren't you?
Yes.
Man. I'm not even ready. No small talk, no nothing.
Because it's Tokyo Game Show is happening. We had fantastic.
Is Tokyo Game Show happening?
It is. Yeah.
I mean, besides like Xbox announcing there's 500 games coming to Game Pass, what's happening? 35 Yakuza ports.
I didn't even watch the Xbox Tokyo Game Show. Like, I didn't even know what time it was.
Yeah, I mean, I started getting stuff last night at like 2:00. I started seeing stuff pop up. I was up late. You know me. We had 2 podcasts and stayed up and edited those last night. So,
yeah, why everybody like excited that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is coming to Game Pass?
Now I can play it on my phone. That's the only reason why I'm excited. I can actually
just like
because I was like, man, Assassin's Creed would be this type of Assassin's Creed game would be perfect just for me to sit down for like a half hour and just run through and do some stuff. And now they're putting it on my phone. I can be like, bam, Assassin's Creed.
But why is it coming to Game Pass and not the Ubisoft thing? Is it Ubisoft part of Game Pass?
No, it's that Ubisoft thing isn't on consoles yet.
I thought it was.
No, they've been trying to put it on consoles for a while, and it's not happening because it's also an additional $15. You know?
Oh, see, I thought it was part of Game Pass because I thought it was EA and Ubisoft that they had their own thing.
It's just EA, but Ubisoft's thing. Whatever it's called, I forget what it's called. It's expensive. It's expensive. It's $15. I mean, to be fair, like you get all their games plus like all the DLC and stuff, but for all the games, but like I don't know, man. It's expensive. That's a hard pill to swallow to pay two $15 subscriptions a month for games, especially when I don't even use the one.
Which really doesn't make sense because like you could get some of their gold games of that old edition for the same $15.
I mean, Assassin's Creed Odyssey Gold Edition right now I think is $17.99. So, and like, what was that? Phoenix Rising, Immortals Phoenix Rising Gold Edition is $19.99. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, their games go on sale all the time, and they go on sale super fast all the time. And I actually just bought the last Valhalla DLC just to have it, even though I haven't played it.
I have Valhalla, but I just stood in the plastic. I haven't even installed it yet. I'm like, you know what? Let me be Origins and then go through Odyssey and then Valhalla.
Yeah, well, I plan on playing Valhalla at some point. Like, since like unless I'm playing Switch, right? There's really nothing on the other consoles that. Well, I don't have a PlayStation, but but like Valhalla will be my game after this fall because there's nothing else really that I'm interested in,
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess like Deathloop, but
I definitely know. I could get my Thanksgiving game. Even though I'm gonna have to work on Thanksgiving, which is gonna suck.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude.
It's so literally at work we get 5 holidays we get to choose.
Do you? Because they made you work on your vacation. So.
Okay. Well, the vacation in November, the first week in November that I'm taking off, it's pure vacation. Like, I'm not coming into work. Part of it is I'm planning to go to the city And well, I don't know what I need to see. I'm going to the city for like probably about 2 or 3 days, like get a hotel and like just be away from everything.
On that note, I'm going to read these Patreon uh, producers real quick before we get into this giant conversation we're about to have.
Yes.
So Patreon, if you want to support us on Patreon, you can head over to patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, where you can support us directly and your other favorite creators directly monthly. It's a monthly subscription service. We offer two tiers right now: a $1 tier where you get early access to 5 shows. Yes, we increased that from 4 to 5 shows. Uh, but at the $5 tier, you become a Patreon producer. What does that mean? It means you get early access plus a Patreon producer credit on this here program, amongst others. So without further ado, our Patreon producers for this episode of Nintendo Power Block Expansion Pass are Adriel Munger, Celeste Roberts, my wife Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Rebecca Jewell, and Prince Unsmooth Toes. I want to thank all of our patrons. I want to thank all of our Patreon producers, all of our patrons, and all of our free listeners. Remember, all of our content remains free. A little support goes a long way. Also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we ask that you leave us a 5-star rating or review. And if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and leave a thumbs up and a like and all those things and the bell and the YouTuber things.
Yes. So, everybody, we are going to have a discussion about The Legend of Zelda. Now, we're not going to be focusing on the old games. We're kind of going to be
Well,
talking
we kind of
about,
are a little bit. I mean, not
well,
not really the old games, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead,
oh
continue.
no, no, no. I think we'll
I
probably be
have
talking. To,
theories, Ed. I have a lot of theories. I spent a long time last night thinking about Zelda.
yes, I know, but we're going to kind of be talking about a little bit of Age of Calamity, Breath of the Wild, but we're really going to be focusing on what Tears of the Kingdom could be for the Legend of Zelda. There's trailers out, there's theories, people have been speculating that it may be this thing from this tribe, and so we're just going to have a discussion of what can Tears of the Kingdom be, and does that lead to the third and final Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 3 trilogy, making a trilogy. Corey was calling it what? Will of the Hero? I believe that
I
he was
don't
calling
remember
it.
what. Yeah, something like I don't know. I was being real dumb. Uh,
Or
I just look. I just have a lot of theories, right? Like I have a lot of theories about what's going on, and I know none of them are coming true. But
mhm.
I think Breath of the Wild started something really fascinating, and the fact that they're making a direct sequel is even more fascinating to me. And just little things that we've seen in the trailer are telling me certain things, even though I know that it's like, oh, well, you shouldn't believe everything you see in the trailer. I know that, but still, like, there's clearly two versions of Link in this game, right? If there isn't, I don't understand what's happening. I think there's two versions of Link in this game. There's time travel elements in this game. There's
Mhm.
clearly an ode to Skyward Sword, right? Like he runs out of that temple and jumps out of the sky and onto like a literal flying bird, which is probably like some sort of relic of the Skyward Sword Kingdom. And then there's the nasty green stuff that looks like the Twilight Princess stuff. So like you're hitting on all of the main 3D Zelda games, right?
Yes.
The only thing we haven't seen is the stupid boat from Wind Waker, right? Like, I mean, that's like literally the only thing we haven't seen. Uh, and even then, like the game, like the trailer opens up with like an impression of like an impression of what maybe the story will be about at some point, and Wind Waker opens like that. So I mean, there's even a little nod to Wind Waker in there. So uh, yeah, I think this game is just going to be a massive, massive game. Uh, I like the way that game looks and runs. I don't understand how it's running on current Switch hardware either. So that's my other theory is that in March
Well,
there will be some sort of Switch refresh.
that's what we said. I think because of Monolith Soft knowing how to uh, design big worlds, Anuma and the team probably was like on the technical side was to be like, okay, we got to make sure that we get the frame rate. How is our graphics running on this kind of engine that the frame rate is consistent and smooth and everything? I think if you look at Tears of the Kingdom, Tears of the Kingdom have more fluid animation. And I think it's because of the hair, how it's running in the wind and everything.
Well,
Like
I
and
also think that they know the hardware better, and they're only doing it on one console instead of two, right? I mean,
yes.
that's the other thing too, right? Is like they're only putting this on one console, uh, but still to have this game optimized and running at what clearly looks like 60 frames a second, and the world is bigger, and there's new abilities and weapons and stuff that they show. It's like, man, and there I think there's clearly going to be dungeons. I think he runs out of a dungeon, you know? Like
It looks like it because he opens that big door
yeah.
in the sky.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I know that we don't know everything about this game, but there's clear differences in this game. Like where are the divine beasts, you know? There's a shot
Hmm
in this trailer where you can see a lot of Hyrule and there's no divine beasts. Where are they? Where are they?
The Where's the new champions at?
Yeah.
You know, that's I think that's going to be played. Well, actually, I think there's probably more champions that we don't know about. Like we was talking about this in our direct recap, and kind of was talking about can there be another civilization that's in the air that we don't know about? That's probably going to be completely new uh to Hyrule, or it may have been in the lore, and Nintendo is now bringing it to fruition and everything.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot, and I was thinking about when it said like when you look at the logo and you look at the sword, it reminds me of the first time they showed all Breath of the Wild in 2019, with the hand holding the heart of whoever that's gonna be. We don't know if it's Gen or anything, and it was just that writing that was swirling around that was protecting it, keeping it there. And our assumption is that it gets weak, and whoever that enemy is able to break out of it and everything. So that writing that was holding it may be some writing on Link's arm, may be playing a part of the kingdom that's in the air, or Hyrule Kingdom. Like there's so much stuff just going on from there. We didn't even see any gameplay yet. We were just seeing different things that was happening. We still knew that the black um calamity was arising, was playing a part, but we didn't know that if this calamity is going to be something from uh from Ganon, or is this a calamity to renew somebody else and everything? Like, who is this new threat? Because Nintendo hasn't shown us anything about who is the new threat in this game. Because I know 100 years did not just pass like that.
Well, I mean, our theory originally, right, was that the there's like a better word than what we talked about the other night, like a disciple of Ganon who's trying to resurrect
Hmm
him, or like maybe it's a disciple of Demise, right? And they think Ganon's body is like the physical vessel where Demise can come back, right? I think that would be a really interesting story to tell because we haven't seen Demise since Skyward Sword, which is clearly the first game in the timeline, right? Skyward Sword right now is
Yes.
the first game in the timeline, and when you banish him or whatever, like he doesn't come back. right? And so this would be
Right.
a really interesting way to set up a third game where Demise is the villain, right? Where like maybe they only perform half the ritual and resurrect Ganon, and that's where you get Ganondorf, right? Like maybe that's where
Yes.
you get Ganondorf, who is a the Gerudo thief or the Gerudo prince or whatever, but he wants more and he seeks that power and becomes Demise, right? And like
Hmm.
I think that's where the story is going. I really think that's where the story is going. Is that
But then my
whoever the main villain is in this game is a disciple of Demise and thinks Ganon resurrecting Ganon is going to bring Demise upon the world.
and make them powerful
Yeah.
or something.
And it'll
Uh,
be way more powerful than Calamity Ganon.
so my question is, what happens to the third Triforce when Ganondorf is defeated? Because he is the Triforce of power,
Mm-hmm.
but what happens to it when he's defeated? Does this game explain it though?
I mean,
Or
I
do you
think
think it's a possibility?
I think there's going to be some lore explanation of like that's another reason where like all three pieces of the Triforce have to exist at the same time, right? And right now we
Hmm.
only have two, so that third piece is, you know, it's drifting out there, and maybe this disciple finds it, and maybe this disciple knows the lore of the Triforce and the goddesses and whatnot, and like maybe that this is this disciple knows like, okay, we know who's supposed to have the Triforce of power, right? maybe
Yes.
maybe there's ancient texts, maybe there's lore, maybe this person is a time traveler, right? Maybe this person is a time traveler and that's how time travel exists in this game, right? That's something
Right.
that we haven't talked about either. And they know Demise and Ganon from a past life, right? Maybe the villain in this game is someone from Skyward Sword since they're hinting at it so much. uh,
But so then, if time travel is going to play a part, and of course, if we look at Age of Calamity from Hyrule Warriors, the king was still alive in that game.
mhm.
Does he come and play a part in this one? Because he died. He was a somehow he was a ghost that leads you into everything that was going. But then was just like, okay, young Link, this is your quest, and you must stop Ganon
This is your
from
quest.
because it was just like Ganon took over Hyrule, and it was just like like it's it's so amazing seeing how that happened and getting and you fighting Ganon and the way that that game ends, which leads to the Triforce of Courage and Triforce of Wisdom being with Zelda and Link.
Hmm.
you know. So it's just like if time travel is going to be playing a part, can the king can the king from Hyrule Warriors, Edge of Calamity, come in and play a part before anything else? Because of course, time travel messes up kind of uh the set path in a sense.
Well, I think that's what this, like, maybe there is a set path. Maybe Breath of the Wild was the set path, and this
Hmm.
time traveler is coming in to disrupt it. You know, maybe this traveler comes in and, like, we don't know. Maybe that initial trailer where they were underground, maybe that's like halfway through the game.
Probably
You know,
it. And
although, like,
speaking of,
remember
okay,
when Breath of the Wild was shown off? Every single trailer they showed was in like the first 2 or 3 hours of the game,
yes.
theoretically. So probably
Yeah.
the first like 30 hours for me.
But I kind of wonder though if dungeons are going to play a part. Who built them, and what is
I mean,
who
maybe
built
that's where
these
the time
dungeons,
travel
and
comes in
what?
too. Like, they don't exist in the Breath of the Wild world, but that's how you bring them back, is like you go back. What if it's almost like a greatest hits of Zelda dungeons where, like, oh, you go fight King Dodongo in Death Mountain from Ocarina, or then you go to the forest from Twilight Princess, or you go to the, you know what I mean? Like what? Not that that's what I want, but that would be like an interesting
Mm-hmm.
twist of, um, maybe I don't know. I think that would be an interesting twist. But also I think the way they need to bring dungeons back is I think they just need to bring them back. I don't really know how you do it. I don't know what a lore reason would be. I don't know who built these things from the last game to this game, but my theory says that there is a time travel element, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the dungeons exist wherever you time travel or dimension travel. I think it's time travel, but
Because like the champions, um, the animals that you go into were designed to be the dungeons in the game. Um, but they were more kind of just like uh compartmentalized. I said it wrong. They're kind of compact into like one thing, where the dungeons that we know in Zelda have been different levels.
mm-hmm,
You're going up to get to a boss, or you're going down, or you're going around to get this key to open the door and fight this boss.
mm-hmm,
And midway through the dungeon, you get this powerful sub weapon for you to be able to fight the boss or anything. So now, if we look at Tears of the Kingdom, are we going to get more sub weapons that help defeat the purpose of break breaking weapons? And do we actually get bosses in here? Because like the bosses that we fought were um Calamity from Ganon. It
right,
was like a Calamity Spider or
right.
whatever.
They were just what were they called? Stephanie brought it up on the direct recap show the other day, where you're just fighting this different, like it's literally the same boss that does a couple different things, right? Like,
Hmm.
and that's that was the weakest part of the entire game for me, you know, were the divine beasts, and I I want dungeons back. I think the dungeons are an essential part of Zelda, and like I've said 100 times on the show, there's a way to bring dungeons back. There is a way to bring dungeons back that will not influence the openness of the game.
Yes. Well, I
And we saw that in A Link Between Worlds, right? Like,
yes. Well, you mentioned you mentioned the Gerudo, like Gerudo Village. I have a feeling that each of those places have a hidden dungeon that even the people didn't know.
yeah,
But
like,
somehow this enemy, this main boss, whoever it is, Demise.
mhm.
Let's just say it's Demise. If Demise that knew about these dungeons, maybe he resurrect these dungeons and send us and put some kind of curse or spell over it and
Mhm.
everything. But this maybe in the lore of Gerudo Village, maybe it was a special weapon that maybe one of the scientists or blacksmiths were making, but it wasn't completed or it was too powerful. So they built it in this dungeon so people of the Gerudo Village wouldn't be able to get it. Bam. Now that this is being revealed, Link could go see it because there's places in that village Link cannot go to.
Yeah, well, there's,
Definitely. Go ahead.
oh, I'm saying there's definitely like six different things you could do, like off the bat, right? Like each divine
Hmm.
beast could be guarding a dungeon, you know? I mean,
Yes.
I know in the lore, like the divine beasts were built to kind of fight off Calamity Ganon, but what if Ganon was trying to get something from these dungeons, you know?
Hmm.
And maybe like, so there's four divine beasts. Each divine beast is guarding a dungeon, right? You could have one underneath the castle when it gets lifted up, and you could have the Tomb of Resurrection. Like if you turn around, what if that wall opens up and you maybe wait, that's what happened in the DLC for Breath of the Wild, isn't it? Anyways, like you could do that, or you could have like now the Sky Islands exist. You could have like
Hmm.
I think when he opens that door in the sky, that you are leaving a dungeon. I think he's leaving a dungeon. I truly think he's leaving a dungeon.
I have a feeling because the way that it's designed from I think it's the second trailer. When they actually show him diving,
Hmm.
uh,
Well, they
and
showed it in this
everything.
one too.
Well, they showed it in this one, but I think it was more of you're able to see what is in the sky. And there, like when he went up through the through the uh um through the floor and popped up, which kind of represent water, which probably is the tier for some reason. Um, when he came down and you just seen the openness of the sky in different
Hmm.
places, I think that's where some like you said, the dungeon and everything. I feel like there's places in the sky that are dungeons. That Link will visit to be like, oh, you guys got these weapons that
Hmm.
we the people of Hyrule did not know
Yeah,
about.
and I actually think that that's where Skyward Sword comes in because like like you're technically crafting the Master Sword, and
Mm-hmm.
like maybe you go to the Sky Islands to learn how to craft certain things. You know.
Oh, maybe that is part of it. Because if the Master Sword, I mean, yes, the Master Sword looks weak
Yeah.
and it may be on the verge of breaking.
Hmm.
So if this is the way to make it stronger, maybe
Yeah.
that is the dungeons right there. Is that it have elements
Oh,
that makes it.
you're making the Master Sword stronger by completing the dungeons.
Yes.
I don't. I mean that's an interesting theory. I would. I like my theory better of you finding uh the better versions of the weapons in the dungeons. But I mean, I think it makes sense. You know, I think you're probably right.
Or at least the tears, there's got to be something to restore the Master Sword because what the heck happened to it to get it in that because Link had to fight somebody, and maybe he was fighting Demise. Maybe Demise grabbed it and literally stole the power from him or whatever to
Hmm.
make it look like this is about to break. This Master Sword has lost the power that uh, was needed for Link to use.
Hmm.
Because now, definitely with this world, I think, and we definitely going to have to listen to Anuma. Is there breakable weapons in this game? Because I can understand if there's breakable weapons for weak items, but maybe there is a way to make these weapons stronger and permanent.
Yeah. I think there's a crafting system in this game. I think out of all besides the dungeon complaint, I think the biggest complaint about this game was the breakable weapons. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I really think that that was the biggest complaint, and so I don't think they want to get rid of that, but I think they are developing a system similar to upgrading your armor, right? Like you could take them
Yes.
supply the fairies supplies and gems and all these things to upgrade your armor. And I think that they're going to start applying that to weapons. And I don't think every weapon's going to be able to be made stronger, but I think there are specific weapons in the game that are quote unquote craftable and you can make those
Yes.
stronger like maybe like you know, and maybe like the dungeon, maybe it's a combination of things. Or maybe the dungeons do have parts to the Master Sword to fix it, or you get like the quote unquote master version, the craftable version of the weapon, and then it's your job to make it stronger or whatever. You know.
Yeah. And what about the Guardians? The mechanical Guardians?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like, are they still around? Because we know that some of them have like um weren't moving, like they weren't working on anything. Maybe they're coming back, playing some kind of point.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, I think they're back, right? I mean, they're that seems plausible. I think, right?
yeah.
So,
I mean, first of all, with this coming out May 12th, how do we get through this game literally before a month of E3, which is I
I
think
don't know,
which
man. I mean, I think I don't know. I think it's coming out at a great time personally. And like
it is.
to be honest with you, Zelda me playing Zelda is going to take precedent over anything else, you know.
Mhm.
Aside maybe like playing Destiny alongside it, right? Like that game is
Yes,
taking precedent over everything.
which I we may do a special pass on this. I think E3 is fitting now for September. For what we
Mm.
just had this week, for
No,
some
because
reason it
Gamescom and
felt
Tokyo
right.
Game Show are too close together. They're not going to put all three of those together. They have to spread those out, right? And PAX
Mhm.
somewhere in there. No, no. I mean, who even knows if there's going to be an E3 next year?
Well, that's what I said. That's a future expansion pass to have. Um, but getting back to Zelda, because a lot of people, because getting Zelda in May, probably having a direct early for what the spring and summer is going to bring. Like, because after Zelda, I feel like Zelda is the game for the summer. Like,
Well,
it's
yeah.
going to help sell
What else?
Switches.
I mean, what else are you going to play in the summer? Like, what are you trying to play in the summer? You know?
Well, we don't know until Microsoft and Sony says something. Like
Yeah, but like I
Microsoft is
said,
going
like
to be the ones
Zelda.
we look.
Look, Zelda's the game. Zelda is the game for the summer. That's my.
Yeah.
That I mean, they could. I don't even know what else they could announce to even like make me think. Oh, well, maybe I won't play Zelda. I'll play this instead. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing. And I think a lot of people who played Breath of the Wild, I think they feel similar, right? And that's why we were all kind of
Hmm.
scared. Like, what if Zelda comes out in February or March? You know, like one of my most anticipated games, Hogwarts Legacy, is coming out 5 days before Destiny. Well, I'm not playing Hogwarts Legacy over Destiny. You know,
You're
I
true.
mean,
Yes.
I mean, if it was like a season or something, like yeah, I would play Hogwarts Legacy and play the seasonal content and then be done. But like, no, there's a brand new expansion, and like so
Hmm.
Hogwarts Legacy is like, no offense, I'm super excited for that game, but it's gonna be sidelined, and so
And
like you have stuff and that's not even everything that's obviously coming out in the spring, but like
hmm
I think we were all scared that Zelda was going to come out in February or March and with everything else, you know.
I literally thought mostly March, and that was because of our Twilight and Wind Waker discussion
Yeah.
and everything. That those would be out good enough
Oh
to
yeah,
hold people over for.
the conversation non-patrons are hearing right now after the after the direct. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Sorry
because
you free listeners, you got a way out of date episode.
but the thing about it is that because it's like maybe I think it's the second week of May, that game will be out, and that being the game of the summer, like who's trying to speed run this game? Because I feel like if this game is going to be really big and you really want to
Hmm.
try to get as much as you can from this, and even stuff that you feel like you miss, and you want to go back and play it. Because I don't think Nintendo's going to do a new Game Plus. I would be interested if they did a new Game Plus for Tears of the Kingdom. That would be interesting. But I think this game is going to take. I think people are going to take time with it, and it's going to be another Breath of the Wild situation where don't tell me anything. All I need
Hmm.
to know is where did you go
Yeah,
first?
look, I mean, unless we have to like talk about it to cover it for the show, right? Like if it's in
Hmm.
another direct or whatever, like I'm going on media blackout, like looking for stuff to talk about Zelda, right? Like I'm done. I know I'm playing the game. I want to be
Hmm.
surprised. I want to be excited. And I'm even like so I'm actually making a list for after I beat Link's Awakening of things that I want to finish before Tears of the Kingdom comes out.
Yes.
I'm that name still does not roll off the tongue very well. But I mean, to be fair, I think we've just been so used to calling it Breath of the Wild 2 for so long that like it being called anything else is just weird still. So I'll get used to it. But yeah, I mean, I think that I want to be surprised. And what was I? Oh, I was saying something before that. Oh, I'm making a list of games to finish before this game comes out, and including I think a replay of Breath of the Wild finally.
I'm thinking of March for my replay for Breath of the
I'm
Wild.
I'm starting earlier than that because I
Started early.
well
February was
the
too.
thing is I want to play through the 3D Zelda games again because I want
Uh
to see what they take from these 3D games and implement in here, especially Skyward Sword because I try. Man, I'm trying with Skyward Sword. It is not working. Uh,
I need to beat Skyward
I'm
Sword. I
gonna
know
I'm
that
gonna start
Skyward
over.
and Mass.
I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna try it again, and I want to finish it because I'm telling you, Demise has such a bigger implication. Maybe not in this
Hmm.
game, but the next game. Demise and Ganondorf in the next what the one we get 7 years from now. Hopefully we're still like, doing whatever. But yeah, I mean this game, it just I'm so excited
it's
for this.
it's. I'm bringing Fire Emblem into this because
Oh boy.
that being the January game to lead into February with a stacked February.
Yeah.
um,
By the way,
It's a lot.
Nintendo Switch
It's a
has a
lot
stacked February. It's
happening.
got what? It has Kirby, it has Octopath Traveler 2, and it has Atelier Ryza, which a lot of people I know are excited for, the third one.
I think that they say a lot of those games were on sale, but I have to
They
check
are.
my Switch.
There's an NIS America sale going on right now.
Okay. Um, I think I wanted to do it in March because I think after February we don't have anything really planned. Because if literally a Numa came out and because the fear is another Numa announcement means that there is a delay.
Hmm.
And if we get that
Yeah.
delay,
When they trot him out, there's a delay. And hopefully you can buy his next t shirt. I want that Pikmin
yes,
shirt, by the way. It's available on the store now, right?
yeah, yeah, it was
What is it?
literally after the
Merchandise? Let's see.
yeah, because it was like 24.99.
Oh my gosh, there's
Uh,
all kinds of stuff on here.
yeah,
Oh,
I feel
there's a Luigi shirt with a bunch of dry bones. What? Ed, why didn't you tell me
yeah,
there was this stuff on here? I never
uh,
go on Nintendo's website because their website sucks.
we don't think about their website at first. I only think we
Oh,
think of
there it is.
Sony and Microsoft. But anyway,
Oh, and they have my size. Oh, they don't. It says wait. It says
this is routine podcasting, but
it's
it's
look. They people signed up for this. Okay, this is what they're getting. Man,
but
I wish I
like
was really
literally.
fat because they have 4XL shirts left in stock.
Oh, but literally after February, I feel like March is because it would literally will be like 6 years after the game comes out. And so going into that game and like finishing it, uh so people could because people are going to be playing it in March or something. So they could prepare for themselves for Tears of the Kingdom. Shoot, I'm gonna have to run through Age of Calamity and
Yeah,
just
that's another one.
before.
I want to run through Age of Calamity too, even though I like and not looking forward to it. But I still feel like that story, especially like here's the other thing too. That game's canon now too, right? So like the time
Yes.
traveling stuff, like young Impa, dude, Impa has a bigger implication in this game too, right? Maybe she's the one that sends you back in time to talk to her. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, there is time travel in this game, and we're gonna go talk to young Impa. We're gonna go talk to the doctor or the scientists, and we're
Hmm.
like, Age of Calamity has a bigger implication on this game than I think people give it credit for. And watch,
What have
they're gonna stop selling Age of Calamity because nobody cares about Warriors games, and then like a month before Zelda comes out, they're gonna show a
Oh, you already
something,
know
some
AJ.
story element from Age of Calamity, and then Age of Calamity is going to skyrocket in price, and because everybody's going to want to play it now, right?
It is gonna go on sale for something for some reason.
Yeah,
You be like, oh, I need to go get the physical. Oh, dang,
I
it's
ha-
nowhere out.
I have the physical.
I have my physical too. Well, everybody knows I have my physical. I took pictures of it. It's I Tears of the Kingdom really reinvigorated a lot of players. But like if they do bring Anuma out and Anuma says that, hey, we're delaying it for a little bit more.
Oh my
We're
gosh, dude, that's
almost
gonna
done.
kill so much momentum. I mean, look, I know a lot of people are gonna buy it anyway, right? But that's gonna kill
Hmm.
so much momentum.
It's but they really are like if they delay this game, you guys, Nintendo really has to fill that void because if that's the big game for May and you take it out and put it into September or October, you better have Twilight and Wind Waker ready to go.
Oh, dude,
Like,
they're ready to go, right? They're holding them. It's the in case of emergency break glass.
hmm
That's what those games are. And then if they're not, then they're gonna wait and bring them out in 2024. That's if Tears of the Kingdom gets delayed, they're bringing these games out in the spring. If it does not,
yes.
these are spring/summer 2024 games. Right? They'll release one in like February or March,
hmm
probably like February because that seems to be where the remasters live.
Yeah.
And then there'll be one in September where like Link's Awakening was.
Okay. Because I think after Tears of the Kingdom, those games really wouldn't play a part, but just filling Nintendo's library
Mm-hmm.
is you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
that would literally be interesting because Corey, I think that third game is for Switch Elite,
it's. I mean, it's
the
whatever.
next
Look,
console.
the third game is whatever Nintendo's next console is. Right? If we waited 6.5 years for this, right?
Hmm.
So, well, by then, let's see. Yeah, a little over 6 years for this. It's going to be on Nintendo's next console. Like, there's no way the Switch is lasting 12 years. As much as like, as much as I want the next console to be exactly like the Switch, just more powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to call it a Switch, which is a
Well,
bummer.
I'm just calling this Switch Elite for code name. So
Yeah.
when I mean, so when because I feel like by 27, their new system is going to be announced, and the next Zelda is going to be that I think Zelda 3 of this trilogy is going to be shown.
Hmm.
Would it come out with the regular Switch? Probably, but the Anuma's going. I think once the DLC, because I think Tears of the Kingdom is going to get some DLC like Breath of the Wild. I think it's going to be like $25 or $30.
Oh, it'll be. I mean, that expansion pass was $20, so I'm guessing 20 or 25.
Mm,
You know.
you know,
Oh yeah, this
because
game's definitely getting DLC. Are you kidding? With how successful the last one was.
because I literally feel like they wrote this. They took the DLC that was planned for Breath of the Wild, which they said they took and made it to this game and fleshed it out more. I really feel like while making this game story, they was planning for the third
Yeah, well, I mean, I wonder if they developed them in tandem, at least the story
one.
and
Hmm.
the writing aspects of it. Uh, I mean, like what I said on the Boss Rush podcast yesterday, which is out at some point, I think, after this. Uh, what Andre and I were talking about was, that Breath of the Wild, if you're comparing it to something like Star Wars, right, where
Hmm.
when that movie first came out, right, like A New Hope was like a standalone experience, right? And they formed a trilogy after the fact where Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi kind of go like you can see the story from Empire to Jedi, like you can see the story thread through those movies, right? Whereas the first one,
Yes.
like, okay, you could have just left it, right, and it would have been it would have been its own movie, and then you moved on, and that's it, right? But they formed
Right.
a trilogy around it, and I think that's how a lot of trilogies are actually formed now. Is where like the first one kind of seems like a standalone, and then if it's successful, you make the sequel. Like you leave little threads open, right,
Mm-hmm.
to say, oh, there's a sequel coming. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna try to do this again, like you're gonna have to leave those threads open. Which Breath of the Wild left a few threads open, right, in terms of story. Uh, but it could have been its own standalone thing, and this Zelda could have been something totally different, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
but now that we're here, and if this really is going to be a trilogy, this game's going to be really open ended at the end. You know, there's going to be
Mm-hmm.
you're going to lose. Something sad is going to happen at the end of this game, whether it's Zelda dying or the kingdom is destroyed and you have to go to another kingdom, or you know what I mean? Like there's something is going to happen that sets up a third game in this main
Because
trilogy.
what is the symbol of it? I'm assuming they're dragons that's eating each other.
Yeah,
So
I don't know what
that
that symbol
circle,
is.
I know that I feel like that's gonna play a part. Um,
Yeah, but that
speaking
villain's in Ocarina though, right? The lava,
probably,
the lava, like the two dragons that you have to fight, isn't that in a villain in Ocarina?
I don't think so. I would have to go through Ocarina again. I think I need to replay that game.
Stephanie,
It's
David.
but 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 think about it, Corey. Also, those dragons in Breath of the Wild,
Hmm.
where did they come from?
They
And
come
that's the
from the sky.
right. And were there guardians? Were they part of the sky that were just floating around? Because literally, when I was playing Breath of the Wild and not seeing that, I put the controller down, just like, what the world is this?
Yeah,
Like, it literally was unexpected.
yeah.
So I think there's some things that's like so unexplained in this world. Like, did you guys come from the sky? Like,
Well,
what?
don't each of the dragons represent one of the goddesses? There's three dragons, right? Or are there four? Maybe I made that up. I thought each one of the dragons represented one of the goddesses, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I thought the goddesses were fairies.
Well, I didn't mean they were the goddesses. I said they represent the goddesses.
Oh, I don't know.
I really don't know either. I think sometimes I just feel like I'm talking out of my butt and I don't really understand. And some real Zelda fan is coming in here like, well, actually, the fairies are the descendants
Well,
of the goddesses.
once again, David Wayne, we would be talking to you because you know everything. Celeste, another Zelda podcast, Zelda Dungeon.
Okay, I don't
Uh,
want it to sound like that was my impression
oh
of
no,
David or one of our friends.
no,
I'm
no,
just
no. They have the info. They know.
I
So
mean,
reaching out to
they
them.
all work for literal Zelda fan sites. Okay, so like they
Yes,
should know more than we do. But
yes,
I mean, it's the same reason. I mean, it's the same way that I cover Destiny, right? Like I know way more about that game than the average player. You know, but in terms of lore and stuff. But like it's not like we're running, pardon the pun, another Zelda podcast. We're running another
Nintendo
Nintendo
podcast.
podcast, and we have to keep up with.
Yes,
I mean, and Zelda, yeah, even though Zelda's like my favorite franchise from Nintendo, it's not like I know every little thing about the lore of the game. I wish I did. I
all right,
wish I knew more about the lore, and I wish I had time to study and be a student of the series and whatever. But like, I only really know what I know and then theorize on the rest.
all right. For me, it has been about the gameplay and me getting through the dungeons and everything and figuring out the bosses. It has been that part of Zelda that I love. And attracted to as a series. All the lore stuff and everything, I it doesn't resonate with me because growing up with Zelda has been less story, more gameplay. Uh, and it was, and as a kid getting older, it just always stuck with me. Those moments of this is what I did in the game. So this represents Zelda. If I took the time and sat down and be like, okay, this is the lore, this is the history, I probably would be amazed to be like, I knew none of this.
Yeah.
And that's on me from not taking time out to learn the story. That's why I think Metroid Prime is such a big example of going out to find story.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could go through Metroid Prime and not and they encourage you to scan stuff like enemies and walls to understand what the story is because it's not going to tell you anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to go out and look for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not going to be like, oh, here's a Mario game. Here's Paper Mario. We're going to feed you line after line after line after line. Some going to be comedy, some's going to be real. When you look at what's going on, like it's playing jokes and stuff, you'll understand it's not doing any of that. It's just like, you want to know what this game is about? Go find it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, I agree. We don't even know where this game takes place on the timeline, do we? I mean, I think we assume that it takes place far after everything, right? But like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't really know which branch. We don't really know which games it comes after, right? After that Ocarina split. I mean, do we? I don't think we do.
So it's happening right after Breath of the Wild, but
No,
we
I
don't
mean,
know
like,
how much time.
I meant Breath of the Wild and this game together.
Oh, that's how. Ugh.
Somebody way smarter than us probably knows.
I'm assuming after isn't Skyward Sword supposed to be like the first one? Yeah,
Yeah, Skyward
I'm gonna have
Sword's
to
the
look at the
first
top.
game, and then
I'm
Minish
thinking it's
Cap.
after that.
I think it goes. I'm pretty sure it goes Skyward, Minish Cap, Ocarina, and then that's where the split is. But I mean, I have a book over there that literally tells me that, but I don't. You know.
You know, take a look at it.
Yeah, I don't really feel like getting up. Plus, I'm like working on some stuff, so at the same time. So, yeah. By the way, this hoodie I'm wearing is really comfortable. I'm gonna get a Nintendo Power Block one like it.
Yes.
I just haven't. So,
Let's see. I should put the game timeline. Because the Zelda fandom wiki, we have it.
man, my computer just sounds like it's gonna blow up.
Okay. The Legend of Zelda timeline, all games in order. So Skyward Sword is first. Minish Cap, Four Swords, Ocarina of Time, and then Legend of Zelda Timeline 1, Defeat, A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, A Link Between Worlds, Triforce Heroes, Legend of Zelda, The Adventures of Link, and then it's the Legend of Zelda Timeline 2, Victory, Child Era, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Four Swords Adventures, which is on the GameCube, and then there's Legend of Zelda Timeline 3, Victory, Adult, The Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, and then there's Breath of the Wild.
Huh. Okay then.
Yeah, it says this is from Green Man Gaming. It says finally becomes the Breath of the Wild, not only the latest entry in the Zelda games orders, as it's also the most recent game in the Zelda timeline. Breath of the Wild is set at the end of all three timelines, converging the series after the split following Ocarina of Time. Does it make sense? Does it raise questions? Then it answers. So it should be Age of Calamity, Breath of the Wild, and then um, Tears of the Kingdom. That should now be
Right.
the timeline.
Right. Okay. Well, there it is. Um,
I'm so shocked that Skyward Sword is the first one.
I mean, but that's what the story is about, though, is forging the Master Sword. That totally makes sense to me. You know?
Because I know the original that let's see, game wise, the original Legend of Zelda, uh, the Adventures of Link, and then A Link to the Past, uh, Link's Awakening. Think because Oracle Seasons and Ages was also on Game Boy.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they take place chronologically.
No, I'm talking about release.
Oh,
Just the releases of the games.
yeah. Um,
Uh,
weren't the Oracle games released like after, like right before or right after Ocarina? Because
yeah,
they were like late releases on the Game Boy, right?
yes,
So
because Game Boy Advance wasn't out yet. It was still color in a sense. Uh,
yeah, right.
yeah, because Minish Cap, and then when GameCube came out, uh, because Four Swords was GameCube. Was it Four Sword? Four Swords was GameCube, but was Four Swords Game Boy Advance also? Yeah, Four Swords was Game Boy Advance. So yeah, my goodness,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Zelda games out there.
a, a lot. Um, yeah. So I think it's going to be a lot of questions. I think we're going to get answers, but just like you said, there's going to be some stuff sprinkled out that's going to lead into what could be uh Will of the Hero. Let's just say Breath of the Wild 3. Now,
Just call it Breath of the Wild
doesn't
3. I don't want that to be some sort of like,
the name of the game.
yeah.
Uh, but now does Hyrule Warriors 3 come out?
I mean,
Because
I think we'll get another Hyrule Warriors. I mean, that game sold 5 million units by itself. I don't see why they wouldn't try.
and do they make it? Do they connect it to anything?
Oh yeah, they're gonna connect it. I mean, they connected the first two, right? Like they've connected the
Hmm.
first two Hyrule Warriors games, right? Like they did that.
Yes.
So I don't know why. I don't know why they wouldn't try again.
Well, this. Well, yeah. Would this be Hyrule Warriors? Yeah, it would be Hyrule Warriors 3.
Yeah. So I guess I should probably play the first one too then.
Because then does that third one uh do the Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memory things where
Okay,
it's
stop.
supposed to be at where it's supposed to be after one leading into two. Does this one does the same after Tears of the Kingdom lead into three? Or does this game take place during I feel like if they do Hyrule Warriors 3, it's gonna take place during Tears of the Kingdom.
I don't know. I wonder if they could make one that bridges the gap between the two. But like, I bet there's spoilers in another Hyrule Warriors game
Hmm.
that would total like if you didn't. It's one of those things where like you should probably play Tears of the Kingdom, but it takes place between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Hmm.
You know, so that's my thought. But also, gosh, don't make a Hyrule Warriors game. Make a top down like almost like a top down 2D Zelda game that like takes place in between. I don't know.
All right, Grezzo.
I
Which
mean,
I think Grezzo could do it.
I mean, sure. Uh,
I mean we need their next game, in my opinion. They could have been silent. rest has been quiet. So I know they're planning something for 2023 probably, but
I wonder, man, it's crazy. We should probably like one of the expansion passes in the future should be like we should go through each of Nintendo's developers and talk about what they developed last and seeing if they have anything coming in the future, you know. Uh
let's make that the next episode.
yeah, I think that would be a really interesting topic. Um
Uh, are they considered a second party
I mean,
or
I think we
still
could
first party?
I think we should look at games published by Nintendo and who developed it to see if Nintendo would be willing to work with them again. Um,
Okay,
I mean, Intelligent Systems clearly Fire Emblem, right?
right.
What level was it? Level 5 or next level? Level 5.
Next level.
Next level. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I wonder if they're doing something. I mean, I think there's going to be another sports game in the spring, something like that.
yeah.
Uh,
Because
but
next level does feel like the sports
yeah,
team for Nintendo because of Punch Out for Wii.
unfortunately.
Actually, that got an A. People enjoyed that one. They liked it.
I liked Punch Out, but I nothing that they've brought out recently has been like
Uh,
wowing me. So yeah. Anyways, that next episode. Back to Zelda. I think
yeah.
I hope this game doesn't get too big or too bloated. I hope they know what they're doing. I think that this game is super important to the franchise moving forward. I hope they make the right changes. I hope they uh fix some of the issues. I hope, but I also I hope a lot of it doesn't change because I just want more Breath of the Wild. I think
Hmm.
this I guess my three major takeaways would be bring back traditional dungeons, right? In a way that doesn't break your openness. Bring in crafting, so we can craft those unbreakable weapons or stronger weapons or repair weapons. And give me some cool new abilities, which we've seen a couple, but give me some cool new abilities or new uh costumes that allow me to do different things. Because they played around with that too, and I just hope that that continues, but in a more uh, you know, kind of what do you call it? More useful fashion, more
Hmm.
deliberate fashion, I guess you would say.
Also, the slowdown when you like dodge at the correct and you start doing the rapid attack. I hope they fix that because sometimes it feels like you're trying to put it off and it's not working at times. Uh, so I kind of yes, this is coming from Metroid Dread. When the enemies get you and they have that yellow flash or something where
Mm-hmm.
you can counterattack, I think they need to give people a signal, be like, okay, they're doing something. If you time it right, you'll be able to go do it. It's easier to do it kind of in Bayonetta. It's not, to dodge. But if you're going to put that in the Zelda game, I think that's going to be very important. That there is some indication that you can do this and you'll be able to counter attack and
Yeah.
everything. Because like I do love having the shield out and when the guardian is shooting his laser and you can swipe it back at him and destroy it. I think that needs to happen more in this game
Give me the
where it never
option to dual
exists.
wield.
I have a feeling that you might be able to.
What if you had you could equip a weapon in each hand. Now obviously bows are going to take up both hands, right? But
Hmm.
what if you wanted to play as left-handed Link, I think dual wielding would be super cool.
Well, yeah.
I like if you had like a I don't know, two I if you had two small swords or whatever and you could dual wield them and be I think they could go like an extra step and just be like, hey, you can kind of play Link how you want. It doesn't necessarily need to be sword and shield, you know? Almost like a I hate that I'm comparing it to this, but the way that like Dark Souls and Elden Ring do, right? Where they
Hmm.
allow you to kind of experiment with different weapons and uh what if I want to be a quick quick dodgy fast weapon Link, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, give me tools to allow me to do that. Or if I want to be like if I want to forge the big Goron sword and be a heavy swinger, right? Like, let me do that. Let me two-hand that thing. you know?
Sweet. And I think stuff like that does have a risk and reward. Yeah, the
hmm
dual wielding, you can do a lot of power, but it's hard to block, and there's a chance that do lose a lot of strength, a lot of hearts. But if you
That's
know how to,
fine. That's fine. But that's where if that's how you want to play, you got to be good at how you want to play.
yeah, that's why I said the risk rewards, the balance
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I would love to have a bow or a sword bow or whatever it is. It's just to be able to
Yeah.
attack mugs quickly and
Yeah.
stuff. Man, can you see Link with some nunchucks in this game?
I mean, why not though? Like why not get weird with it? Like especially if like the Yiga clan is more involved and you're fighting more
Hmm.
kind of ninja e style characters, like why not?
Why not throw in that medieval fantasy and that East influence into this game? Yeah, you can literally do that.
hmm
You got all of these shrines, so it's finding new shrines holding stuff that could help you forge those weapons
Yeah.
and everything.
hmm Yeah. So I mean, just I I'm so excited for this game, and like I know we're talking about all these things and hypotheticals and whatever.
Mm.
In all honesty,
Uh,
I'm just expecting more of the same with some cooler dungeon design.
Elemental though, do they still do if it's raining thunder and
Oh
you got
yeah.
that metal on?
Yes. It's
Okay.
happening. I do think, however, I bet they do tone back the rain a little bit because
Hmm.
dude, that game was raining all the time and it's like, okay, I get it. Like if it's raining, it's slippery, but like it's god, it's like Seattle here. It's just raining all the time. so,
Because I wonder now, what does the sky do? Can you actually affect the weather and use that
mm,
as a puzzle while you're in the sky to
see
get
that
to
would be
certain
cool, but
areas?
that I think that requires a technical level that the Switch just can't handle. uh,
Who knows?
no, I
And
know
everything.
it's not going to be that. I know, Ed. I know.
Because just think about the wind that you're going to have to deal with where you're in the sky.
Yeah.
Like, oh, good googly moogly.
Yeah.
And then do uh like when the sun turns red and all the enemies come back.
hmm
Um, I wonder if I think that's still going to happen.
Oh yeah. No, I think a lot of the systems you saw in the first game are still going to be there.
Mm,
I think some of them will be toned back a little bit. I really think the rain and stuff is going to be toned back a little bit because I remember people being really upset about that too. I don't remember having that hard of a time with it, but also like I was just so enthralled in the game that I was like just not paying attention to that. So,
right. So
um, yeah, well, I that's all I have for this. I'm really excited. I think this game's going to be really dark, and I hope people are ready for it.
you think it's one of those graphically it looks beautiful, but the story
hmm
underneath it is dark.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and I want to see what costumes think it's going to be wearing and everything.
Well, he has that cloak, right? I mean,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. But that's the thing is like, I I don't know if that's just like a costume design that you can change into, or if that means he's like a different Link, because the cover art that they showed, his hair is longer than it was in Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
And I know everybody's kind of stuck on this hair thing, but I think there's a lot of clues there.
What about the
saying.
Kokoro seeds?
The what?
The
Oh,
Kokoro?
yeah, they're still going to be there. And I will.
You think that? Do you think there's gonna be a collection now in the sky? New animals that you could
Oh
gather.
no! Don't give me more collectibles up there. Oh
Would you
no!
achieve it? Would you try it? Would you do it?
Yes, Ed. Of course. I'm already look. I'm freaking out about one seashell in Link's Awakening right now because I've been following a guide and I missed it. And of course, I'm gonna go try to do everything. I want 100% these games. You know, like I used to be really good at 100%ing things, and I got away from it, and now I'm want to go back and do it. So,
okay. Just want to make sure that we get it out the way because I know the next trailer that we see for Tears of the Kingdom, we're going to be back doing a recap, doing an expansion pass.
You think we see it in the next direct? Because I don't think we do. I think it's done until probably
spring,
February or March, whenever that direct is.
Yeah, I literally think so. Because now the thing is, Metro Prime 4 has to be announced and show announced as in we're showing you gameplay what we've been up to. This is the tentative date because I have a feeling it's going to get a tentative date of fall 23.
I mean, I think, man, I don't know. I don't want to get into this now because I feel like whatever that Donkey Kong game is coming next year. Also, man, next year's already shaping up to be stacked if all these rumors are true. You know, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm already poor.
So it's Metroid, Donkey Kong, Mario,
Fire Emblem, Zelda. I'm sure there's a Pokemon game next year somewhere.
Probably Pokemon, Kid Icarus. Don't know yet. Advance Wars.
Well, I
think Smash is not happening to the next console. So
no. Also, you got to think Mario Kart DLC.
Yes.
Probably a Mario sports game. Probably a Xenoblade expansion next fall.
Should probably another Paper Mario.
A Zelda expansion next November, probably.
Pikmin next year.
Pikmin 4. There's a lot, man.
Yeah, their first party mainstays is probably gonna be packed.
Remember when we were doing this show and we were like really struggling to figure out like 2 or 3 games that were coming out in a year? Now it's like slow down.
well, everybody was just okay.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I remember everybody was just like people were saying, "Oh, Switch is not going to have any games. Their launch lineup is weak," and then just all the games we just had a direct with 49 some games. So you cannot say that the system don't have games. Like
no, dude, there's trash that comes out every single day on that eShop.
Dude, I feel like the Switch has probably over 1,500 games right now.
Oh, dude, it's probably got more than that. I would argue Switch has more than that.
I would actually be interested to see how many they have.
Well, Ed, you can go count because I don't have time. Also, the eShop would probably break if you got past like 100 games scrolling down. So.
Yeah, because every time I go to deals, it's just like, well, I'm going to take my time to load. Be like, great.
Yeah, it does. And then like you get down to like 60 or 70 games and it's like, I'm done. It was a good ride, but I'm not loading any more games. So
like, wait, what the heck?
If you don't find what you're looking for here, then you don't get to buy anything.
Good luck and God bless. I'm going back to the home menu screen. Bye.
Yeah.
So, But everybody, that's gonna be it for Expansion Pass. Thank you, Corey, for that discussion. Like I said, we are gonna be looking at this game for a while. Um, Definitely Anuma. We're gonna be when we see him, we come out and say that we gotta delay it for 3 months for the
Oh, don't
summer.
say things like that.
Uh, we're just hoping that it doesn't happen. Numa, please
It's already
deliver.
been delayed twice. I don't want it to be delayed anymore. I just want to play it.
That is true. Um, let's see what Jeff Keighley does for the Game Awards.
Oh my gosh. I
Do
think
they
there's going to be
secure
a
something for
I think there's
Nintendo?
going to be a pretty big Nintendo reveal at the Game Awards, by the way.
You think so?
Not something that we don't either, like a re-reveal of I bet at the Game Awards this year we see the Metroid Prime remaster
Mm-hmm.
and then a trailer for Metroid Prime 4. A
Yeah.
re-reveal of Metroid Prime 4. I
I,
I bet that's what we get. I
yes.
think I think Metroid is like the perfect announcement because it's not big enough to where it's not like Zelda or Mario big, right? So like the mainstream won't
Mm-hmm.
care really. I mean they might, but like, you know what I mean? But like core gamers love Metroid, and I think that's the perfect place to reveal these games.
Yes.
I mean, I will also take a sequel to Dread, which I still need to finish, but that game is amazing also.
I would be shocked if Mercury Steam got another 2D Metroid almost ready to go.
I
Because
mean,
I would be
at this
like,
point I think Nintendo would be silly not to do that, right? Like
oh heck yeah.
I mean, when you get LaRon talking about a Nintendo game and not shutting up about it for months, you know,
That's something.
you know. Sorry, LaRon, I just wanted to poke fun at you.
Hey, I still want Metroid Fusion. What was it? Mercury Steam Zero Mission. That would do so good.
You think
And
we
this
get a
got
remake?
something. We need it.
I think a Zero Mission remake would be awesome in the Dread style.
Yes. Yes.
You know what you could do? You know what you could do? We look, we got to get out of here. But like, you know what you could do? You could do a Zero Mission remake packaged with an up-res version of Samus Returns.
Ah,
That's my idea. That's free Nintendo. You
I
can save that.
would pay $100 for that
No,
connection.
don't no.
Or, or, or if they're making it $60, I would say this. If they want to do that, yes. But if they be like, well, we'll give it to you on the eShop version first before we give it to you on physical. But if Nintendo's smart and Nintendo be like, yeah, we'll just charge you $60 for these two games.
Each game is $60. You'll buy it.
Oh heck yeah, people will buy it. But if they charge it's like literally $60 and they were just like, well, here go to if they could fit both games on the cartridge, which they should be able to do that with ease, people will probably pre-order that like crazy. I definitely would.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, give me. I don't know if y'all want to add amiibo support. I don't know if y'all want to do a pro controller, a special edition pro Joy Cons, whatever y'all want to do. That's fine. But if you just even release this game by itself, I won't. I will buy the moment they say pre-orders are live or after this direct or whatever. It's Best Buy. I need you to make sure that my copy is secure and ready to go.
Oh man, dude.
So
By the way, Ed, speaking of physical copies, did you see what was announced today? As the time of this recording? A Persona 5 physical copy.
yes, I did see that.
So, Mister, they're not getting one.
Well, no, because they only mentioned the eShop ones. All of them had only digital copies. They didn't mention physical.
It's because
So
Nintendo wants you to buy digital, even though they're going to shut the store down in 5 years. I'm just kidding.
Also,
I
everybody,
hope I'm
well,
kidding.
Corey, uh, they announced 3 new Sega Genesis classics: Elysia Dragoon, Beyond Oasis, and Earthworm Jim.
Ooh, Beyond
Uh,
Oasis finally.
Yep.
That's a game I've always wanted to play and never got to play. I will
I
be.
played a I played a little bit of it, but I never got to finish it.
Oh man, yeah, that's awesome. I will check that out.
Yeah.
Closest things
So
it's closest things Genesis players had to Zelda at the time.
that is true. And it's available now, so you guys will be able to play that.
Oh, cool.
Why they didn't have it in the direct? I think I
mean,
really
it's probably
think
a Sega thing.
yeah. I think Nintendo's letting the Sega choose what games and when to put them on, and just be like, okay, Nintendo make the announcement and we'll make them go live.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and plus, I never beat Earthworm Jim, so I want to play that.
Oh, Ed, you're just a failure. Never beat
Well,
Earthworm Jim.
I played Earthworm Jim on Super Nintendo, but I only played it through rentals. I've never bought the game or anything. So now that it's available for the Sega Genesis, I think I'll beat the game there. Play it there.
Yeah,
Everything.
that's fair.
So. Well, everybody, that's going to be it for Nintendo Expansion Pass. Corey, where can we find you?
I'll keep it short this time. You can find me at I'm Corey HD on Twitter and Instagram, and doing Nintendo things for the time being. Very excited for things coming up, Ed.
Yes.
I'm finally making time to do things.
Yes. And you guys can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at that virtual code. You can check us out on our Discord, on our YouTube page at Boss Rush Games, and check us out on bossrush.net. If you are a Patreon, you will get these episodes a week or two early. So if you like our discussions and you want to get this extra content, sign up to be a Patreon. With that, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Watch the Zelda trailers. Let us know what you guys think about that. And what do you want in the next Zelda game? What you want from Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild 3? Let us know. With that, everybody, we will see you next time on Nintendo Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.